Hey guys, how are we doing tonight? Welcome in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If this is your first time here, hello, hi. My name is Tanya or TitaniumBuilt, and welcome to tonight's live, and welcome back to all the returning Titans, which I think probably everybody in here is a returning subscriber for the most part, maybe right now. But if you're not, if you're new and you would love to chat with us in the chat, we would love to have you. And drop where you're from. We'd love to know. I saw that, Alana. I saw something about that today, actually. There's so much going on, it feels like right now. I don't know if it's just like me or what, but I feel like there's a lot going on. I don't know if it's just true crime or what. But if you guys don't mind just taking a second to hit the like button and welcome in. It's good to see everybody. Go back up to the top here a little bit. Hello, Angela. And Alicia's here, and Jan. My Jan's here. Alana. She's here. I already said hi to her. Catherine. Be happy. Hello, be happy. Come in. Hey, Deborah. Hey, Steve. Hi, Ivy. Ivy, how are you feeling? How are you doing? Spinderella. Hello. If I missed you, I'm sorry, but hello, everybody. Alicia. Okay, so we're going to go ahead. We'll get into tonight's live. But if you would like to become, before we do, if you'd like to become a channel member, we'd love to have you over here on the channel. Nancy didn't quit, not yet. She's just in the corner. You can kind of see her arm a little bit. I kind of backed her up a little bit. We're actually going to have a renovation done tomorrow. Complete, like not a complete remodel, but a huge remodel. So we've packed up every single thing well, I'm the packer, Vincent's the mover. That's how we roll. He'll move every single thing by himself if I'll pack it. So I packed up everything the last like 2 weeks. We've been painting. We've been doing all this crazy stuff. So if it's been a little hectic on the lives, that's probably why. So this is the only part of the house that as of right now, that's not disturbed. And I like that. Actually, it's kind of disturbed because I moved my makeup cart. But other than that, it's pretty much the same. Hey, Margot, you got a new little person on there. Hey, Kendra. My sister-in-law's sister's name's Kendra. How are you? Welcome in. And hello, Ashley. I don't know if I said, I know I didn't say hi to you, but I just saw you come in and I like smiled. Sometimes I'll do that, and I just think you guys know that I'm here saying hi to you. So let me go ahead and pull up a picture here of Abby and Libby. That's who we're going to be talking about this evening. But before we get started, with everything, it's just a big trigger warning for tonight's live. There are going to be details that we're going to talk about that are extremely hard to hear. So I completely understand if people can't, watch these lives right now because of the case. I completely understand that. So, but I wanted to go ahead and put that out there. Plus, we do have Nightbot, and plus for true crime, and I think all of us here kind of know about the case a little bit. So we are going to go and talk about last night on the live, we started doing a dive into the documents that came out that the defense put out, and then they sealed them back up. And we were like, okay, well, toothpaste is out of the tube, buddy. We already saw them. There's screenshots, there was episodes, there was lives. So we're reading them. So, but I want to let you guys know that I will be traveling to Delphi, Indiana tomorrow. So tonight we're going to read through part 1 of the documents, because there's five like parts to this. But we're going to read through part 1, and it is the crime scene this evening. And then tomorrow I have to be, me, Vincent, and the dogs all have to be out of the place by 7:40 a.m. It's going to be a beautiful morning tomorrow. Let me tell you. So all of us have to be out, and we are going to just go camp, and we're going to go to the bridge and go to the town and everything, just go through and see what's going on and walk the trails and walk the bridge. So if you guys have any places that you want to see or any spots, and I can get to them and I can, get a picture or do like a live video, I'll do that for you. So make sure that you guys are subscribed, bell icons alerted to all notifications. And if you're on a cell phone, make sure that your settings in your cell phone is set to allow YouTube notifications. That way you'll be alerted, because I'll be going live throughout the day. So you guys might not catch them if you guys, if you work or you have other things you do throughout the day. So just want to let you know. Aries, I would go to Moscow. I would. How are you doing? I really would though. So the cat, I mean, oh, that's so sweet. And let me go back up here really quick. Did you say how your surgery was? I'm okay. Just hold my feelings. Oh, the cat's good. He's going to go in a cage. He's not going to like it. Oh my gosh. I feel so bad for him. Okay. So like, if I take him out of the apartment, he's going to freak out. He's going to hate life and not want to he's going to hate life. He hates being out of the house. Last time I moved him, he peed on me. He was like, not again, lady. So I was asking the apartment, I'm like, what do I do? Should I just like leave him here and just hope he doesn't run out the door? Because he would never go towards the door. He would hide. And they were like, well, maybe just like get him a kennel. And I'm like, he hates kennels too. So we're going to get him like a dog kind of kennel, something a little bit bigger, put him in that, and then put like blankets over it. So thank you for asking, because he's my baby. He's 14. I don't want to take him out, So we're Ashley, you would be like so proud of me. We have a tent. We're going to be in a tent, a 3-person tent with 2 dogs that are like human size. So we're going to be jam packed. If we make it all the way through the camping, I would be surprised. We got the spot, and we're like very close to the trail. So if you guys want to come hang, so we got a camping spot. I reserved it today, and we have like this little tent that we used like one time 2 or 4 years ago, like 4 years ago. So we're gonna try it again, and it's pretty cool out at night here. So I don't know. Raven is 20 pounds. Oh my gosh, that sounds like my cat, Rocky. He's huge and he's a baby, the biggest of the biggest babies. I think it'll be fun. I think that it was Vincent's idea to go camping. I was like, okay, we could do that. I thought that'd be fun too. So let's see what I have going on over here. Told you about me traveling there. Okay, that was it. So like I was saying, new court documents came out the other day. So we went over pages like 1 through 20, I believe 25, 26 last night over the live. I might have to, Jan. I might have to come see ya. Bring me some s'mores. I'm gonna have to there is a camp, like a fire pit. I asked. I was like, y'all got a fire pit? Because it might be cold. Let me put up some pictures for you guys because it might be a little bit easier. And let me get my screen up real quick. If you guys are just joining us, thank you guys for being here. And if you're not just joining us, thank you for being here. I don't know if I thanked you guys. If you guys don't mind just taking a second to hit the like button, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Like I said, I'll be going live from Delphi, Indiana tomorrow. So make sure you're, subscribed. You have the notifications hit to all. That way you'll be alerted to the lives and all that stuff. So let me grab me a drink because of course I forgot, and we're going to get right into these documents. I figured tonight we do documents first, and then I'm going to top it off with this new segment that came out from Courrtv. I've watched it like 2 or 3 times today. It's really interesting, and it kind of wraps everything up that I'm going to talk about. Because it appears that they are doing the same thing that I am doing. They are doing it in parts as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and get the documents up and me on the screen. There I am. And these are the documents here. They're very easily accessible. If you guys want to read over them, I found them on Reddit within like 2 seconds, and then I just downloaded them. So make sure that I have all my pictures ready, because I have some pictures to go with this, kind of not like super visuals, but visuals. That way we can kind of see what's going on with this memorandum, because they're going to describe the crime scene in this section. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm a visual person. I need to visually like see something to like absorb it at all. And so I was super like, it's sad, but I was like excited because, Courrtv, they did like little sketches kind of. So what I did is I just screenshotted them and sent them over to my MacBook. So yeah, I am Selena. I'm going to come over there. I was like, let's just do it. Hey, Cheryl, welcome in. Rita, welcome in, everybody. If I missed you, I'm sorry. Thank you guys all for being here. So what we'll do tonight is we're going to read this part. Like it's going to tell you that, what the memorandum is consisting of. And then we're going to go over the part 1, which will be the crime scene. And last night we went over, the Odinism. I can't even say it. Like the group of people, that they are trying to put these, unalivings on. And I have to use some code words tonight because of the nature of the case. So, but I'll try to, not do with too many code words because I hate doing them anyway. So everybody just hit the like button. That way my video don't get suppressed too much. Let me go ahead and grab everything that I need if I can see what I need. Okay, well, a girl cannot read without her glasses, and a girl doesn't have her glasses. Let me just see if they're right here really quick. If not, we're just going to read it. We're just going to start reading. Nope, they're not there. That's so crazy that I don't even move my stuff and then it gets moved. It's a ghost. I probably moved them. I did. I put them somewhere now. I can't remember. That's okay. Let me know if you guys can see the screen and everything. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to read, like I said, part 1, and then we'll go over and we'll recap with Courrtv's video. That way, everybody they'll have like, you have a nice little recap at the end with Vinny. So this memorandum will consist of 5 parts. Part 1 will be a description of the crime scene. This description will provide important and necessary context that will allow understanding for the rest of the memorandum and will also provide insight into the preposterous claim by Sheriff Liggett. And actually, let me show you a picture of him real quick. This is the sheriff here. Me, how far am I? So I don't know. I don't think I'm that far from Indiana. 45 minutes. I think that I'm like 45 minutes from Indiana, but where we're going, I'm like 3 hours away. So it's a little bit of a drive, but I've been wanting to do it for a while. So we'll go back to this. So Sheriff Liggett, that one and only one person was responsible for these murders. This will be important as Sheriff must claim that Richard Allen acted alone in order to dispel the massive evidentiary foundation that supports the likelihood that the pre-planned abduction and ritualistic murder of Abby and Libby required multiple Odinists in order to succeed. Part 2 of the memorandum will detail the evidence that connects the Odinists to the murders. Tony Liggett concealed this evidence from Judge Denier when Liggett prepared and signed under oath his affidavit for search warrant. This section is long, detailed, and factually dense, especially for those not living and breathing this case. At the beginning of section 2, I feel like he kind of talks down on people when he says that. He said that twice now. If he didn't put in words that nobody knew, there's a couple words I had to look them up. Like if you don't put in stupid words, we wouldn't know. We wouldn't have to, take so much time. We wouldn't be that dense. At the beginning of section 2, defense counsel has provided a Delphi murder infographic, a veritable visual representation of the major players mentioned in this memorandum, as well as a list of names and the relevance of those names found in the memorandum. These documents are offered as reference tools for assistance in unpacking these dense facts. Part 3 will detail the information that confirms that Tony Liggett concealed evidence in his search warrant affidavit concerning statements of Betsy Blair and fabricated statements in his search warrant affidavit concerning Sarah Carball. Part 4 will consist of evidence that Odinite corrections officers and leadership have been positioned to watch, guard, intimidate Richard Allen since at least early April 2023. This section will also provide images of the patches worn by Sergeant Robinson and Sergeant Jones, as well as images taken from their Facebook pages. Now, I want to go back up for a minute. So I can't remember off the top of my head, and I bet one of you guys in the chat will know this. Do you guys remember when Richard Allen confessed to his wife? Because I remember we did the live about that in June, I believe. I'm wondering if he confessed around this time, and that's what they're trying to account for. You know, I don't know. The stuff they have in here is overwhelming, though. And it says that this section will also provide images of the patches worn by Sergeant Robinson and Sergeant Jones, as well as images taken from their Facebook pages. Part 5 will include information concerning how Richard Allen became a patsy in this investigation 26 days before an election. This section will include information that Liggett failed to provide in his search warrant affidavit concerning the trustworthiness of Dan Dolan's so-called report. Pat V will also address the complete lack of evidence that linked Richard Allen to the murders, including analysis of the weak evidence that Liggett relied on in his affidavit, as he, Liggett, attempted to persuade Judge Denier that evidence of the murders would be found in Richard Allen's home. And so this brings us to part 2. Or part 1, I'm sorry. Can everyone see it okay? I feel like it's kind of like small for you guys. Maybe it's just me, though. This calls for champagne. Ooh, Cheryl got her phone card. Well, I'm glad that you're here. You know, no one got you last night, Cheryl. But Cheryl's so strong. You know what I'm actually going to do real quick? This is going to be a little bit better. I'm just going to throw the chat over here real quick. Sorry it's taken me so long to get to everything tonight, guys. I'm just not working right. Hopefully after the remodel, we'll be good to go. The renovation. I usually have this up, but I did it. Okay. So part 1. Let me see if I can pop that chat out really quick. Okay. Hey, Selena. Hey, everybody. Hey, Rowan now. Appreciate you guys being here. So when members of the search party, I'm so sorry, guys. I'm like all over the place tonight, but I just don't even know where my glasses are. It's bothering me. When members of the search party found the girls in the late morning of February 14th, 2017, Abby and Libby had been missing for approximately 22 hours. The scene was ghoulish. I'm going to actually pull up a picture while I read this a little bit. That way it might help a little bit too. So here in just a moment. Libby was found at the base of a tree with 4 tree branches of varying sizes intentionally placed in a very specific and arranged pattern on her naked body. Let me pull that picture up. And these are from Courrtv. They're just to give you guys a visual of what I'm reading. Libby was positioned flat on her back with her left arm stretched above her head, touching the base of the large tree. Libby's right hand was covered in blood. Libby's left hand was covered in the same thing. B spots and B drippings were seen all over Libby's body from head to toe. Libby's right arm was placed along the side of her body. One large tree branch had been placed on her left shoulder. This branch was so long that it extended above Libby's head several feet and below her legs for several feet as well. 2 smaller branches formed a V where her legs joined her body, near her, woman parts, private parts, with both sides of the V extending upward towards Libby's head, with one branch extending to the left of Libby's head and the other to the right of Libby's head. The last of the 4 branches extended across Libby's body on a line from her right shoulder to her left shoulder. This 4th tree branch also connected with the other 3 branches and was placed under both branches that formed the V. Libby's how do I say this? I might have to just say it. Libby's her neck was, cut. So, and it was partially covered by this 4th branch. There appeared to be no bee sprayed or dripped onto the leaves or the tree near Libby's head and neck. It appeared likely that Libby had been unalived at a nearby tree and then dragged to her final resting place, where she was then positioned before having the tree limbs placed on her in a very specific pattern. This is going to be a big trigger warning. So, okay. And I need to move my vape. Sorry. This one's, yeah. So just to address it really quick, Isabel, she left the chat because of things that were being said to her by Summer. Summer left the chat. I don't know why. And that's all I know. And Richie left because of Summer. So just to kind of bring everybody up to speed, that's all I know, though. So that's all I can say about it. I don't know anything else. If you want to reach out to them by email, I could probably get you their email. I'm sure they wouldn't mind. So it says the murderers treated Abby very differently. Abby was found just a few feet away from Libby. Her body was not placed parallel to Libby, but rather at an angle, with Libby's legs just at a few feet from Libby's legs. However, both of their heads were found a few feet further apart from each other. Significant differences existed between how Libby's body was found and how Abby's body was found. And then we're going to talk about Abby. Abby was not found at the base of a tree. Abby was fully clothed. In fact, Abby was dressed in Libby's sweatshirt and jeans. No bee appeared on Abby's clothing, meaning that she was likely unalived while naked and then dressed by the murderers after she expired and after the blood had stopped spilling from her neck. Abby's hands were clean. Abby's feet were clean. Other than bee found around Abby's neck area, where there was a fatal wound inflicted, very little bee was found anywhere else on Abby's body or clothing. I don't know how to pronounce this. Hold on one second. Juxtaposition. The juxtaposition of the spots and streaks of blood found all over Libby's body with the lack of bee on Abby's body / undergarments / overgarments is stark. The unalivers appeared to have gone to great lengths to keep Abby's body and clothing clean from blood. Abby was found on her back like Libby. However, unlike Libby, and this is what I just don't understand how her arms would stay like this, but Abby's elbows were bent with her right and left arms both placed on her chest. Abby's left hand and arm near the left side of her face, and her right hand and arm near the right side of her face. Also, Abby's left leg was straight while her right leg was bent at the knee. The unalivers also placed her bent right leg under her left leg. Unlike Libby, those involved in the unalivings had placed tree branches in a very specific pattern on top of Abby. The pattern looks very similar to an asterisk, and I will show you guys, if you're not sure what an asterisk kind of looks like, that's what an asterisk is. But you can kind of see it above her, as well. Where are we at? So it says the pattern looks very similar to an astra consisting of 3 tree branches all in the middle, all joined in the middle, sorry. At least one of the tree branches appears to have been cleanly cut by some instrument like an electric saw rather than split or broken by hand, indicating that this was a preconceived plan. Now, do you guys think that they brought the tree branches with them cut? Or do you think that they cut them in the woods? Because how would people not hear the tree branches being cut? I'm so confused. You know, I'm just so confused. Okay. It's very weird that I just don't get that Saul thing because there's so many people in there. I'll see tomorrow how many people are there, you know, like around there. I mean, I'm sure it might be populated. I heard that Gray Hughes is there. So we'll see if we can track him down. So here it says, above Abby's head were smaller sticks that had been placed over her hair, crudely mimicking horns or antlers. So they were placed over her hair. So there's no way that she could have like fallen on the ground and that have happened. It doesn't sound like. The amount of blood that would be perhaps expected at the crime scene based upon the location of the injuries of both girls was not visible in the crime scene photos. So does that mean that they weren't unalived there? Okay, I'm going to read that again. The amount of blood that would be perhaps expected at the crime scene based upon the location of the injuries of both girls was not visible in the crime scene photos. The defense has provided the court with 12 crime scene and autopsy photographs marked as exhibits 5 through 16 as confidential. These photographs support the descriptions provided in the previous paragraphs. Sorry, not photographs, paragraphs. In addition to the unusual way the girls were posed, including the stick formations placed on their bodies, another unusual marking was found on a nearby tree. A symbol that looks similar to the letter F, and I'm actually going to pull that up so you guys can see that. And before I do that, I want to show you this. So if you're not looking, like if there's nothing under there, you know, this is how the sticks were placed for Abby. And like, so there's what, 3? 1, 2, and then 3. And then for Libby, like this just looks intricate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe. I don't know if this is the same one and it's just broke. We'll have to read that. Actually, I might have to read that one again. So now we're going to go to the symbol on the tree. A symbol that looks similar to the letter F appeared approximately 4 feet above the base of the tree. The F was red in color, and later DNA testing showed, trigger warning, that the F had been painted on the tree using Libby's blood as so-called paint. Additional spatter was found at the base of that same tree. All the B at the base of the tree appears to have been Libby's as well. The defense has also provided the court with Exhibit 17 DNA documentation supporting the fact that Libby's, was the source of the F painted on the tree. Said exhibit is marked as confidential. So they have, the defense is saying that they have documentation that's saying that that is her DNA, marking that tree in an F or this formation. And her, BLLOD. That's what I want to know, Ashley. Like, how they have time to be doing all this? Like, I mean, you would have to almost bring them there and place them there and have everything ready to go. I don't know. This is insanity. Said exhibit is marked as confidential. The defense has also provided 2 photos of this F found by the nearby tree, marked as confidential. So they had another picture, and it was this one, just to kind of show you the F. So we'll go back to the document now. We're right here. So this part got me kind of confused. So let me know what you guys think. Under Abby's left lower back, a shoe was found. This shoe is believed to be Libby's shoe. Under the shoe, a cell phone was found. That's very weird. So you have a cell phone on the ground. Like, I wish I had like my slides on, but and then you've got like a shoe, which has like paint all over them, but then you have the shoe, and then it's underneath her lower back. Like, if these guys were so strategic and making sure that Abby's clothing, even though it was Libby's sweatshirt, had no BLLOD on it, don't you think that they would remember to not put a cell phone underneath of her body that could potentially maybe have some sort of evidence on it? Very weird, huh? We'll go back over here. So the cell phone was later determined to be Libby's phone. The information was confirmed by the recent deposition testimony of Liggett. I'm going to figure out how to say his name again. Leesenby and Holman. According to recent depositions taken of Sheriff Liggett, the famous video of the person that many people call Bridge Guy was found on this phone. Additionally, allegedly found between the 2 girls, buried under the leaves and dirt, was a single bullet. Not allegedly, the cops did find one. The defense has provided 2 photos of the shoe and cell phone found under Abby's legs and marked them as exhibits 21 and 22 and have been filed confidentially. Also, the defense has provided 3 photos of a bullet purportedly found in the ground between Abby and Libby and marked those photos as exhibits 23, 24, and 25. It should be noted that as of the date of this memo, the defense has no photographs of the bullet allegedly found between the girls after it was removed from the ground. No photo or video, for example, shows the bullet as it was being pulled out of the ground. No photo or video of the bullet immediately after it was pulled from the ground. No video or photograph of all sides of the bullet immediately after it was pulled from the ground. No photographs of the bullet next to a measuring device to show its length. That one I can understand. No photographs that show what the bullet looked like once it was pulled out of the ground could provide proof that it was the same bullet that ended up in the evidence locker room. Well, normally they don't have to do that because they're officers and they don't have to really account for that. Like, we are supposed to take their word for it, as long as the chain of custody is good. I was reading the chat, sorry. Hey, Susie. Welcome in, guys. Welcome in, everybody. Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate it. Where were we at? Shockingly, in his deposition, Sheriff Liggett admitted that he also has not seen any photographs of the purported bullet taken once the bullet was pulled from the ground. In other words, the only photos that the defense has found in the discovery it has received are of the bullet still buried in the ground. At this time, the defense has no idea if A, photos of the bullet after it was removed from the ground even exist, or 2, the photos exist, but the state has not yet turned those important photographs over to the defense, or 3, the defense has missed these photos in the voluminous discovery. Either way, the defense has asked the prosecutor to please locate these photographs. And the next section will be one man alone committed all these tasks in less than 1 hour and 17 minutes. Liggett says one thing publicly, but another thing privately to his law enforcement friends. Publicly, Liggett has claimed under oath that one single solitary person was responsible for abducting and murdering the girls. Richard Allen. Claiming publicly that Richard Allen acted alone would allow Liggett to continue proclaiming that the unalivings were not the result of a coordinated abduction and subsequent ritualistic sacrifice at the hands of a pagan religious cult. No, if Liggett continues trying to convince everybody publicly that one man and one man alone, Richard Allen, performed all the tasks, then Liggett must convince others, including the public, to ignore the voluminous amount of evidence that supports the coordinated efforts of multiple Odinists. However, you will learn later in this memorandum that Liggett's claim that one man acting alone, and certainly not his organized band of cultists, murdered those girls is actually not something that he, Liggett, believes privately based upon one-to-one conversations with other law enforcement. Hey, Pretty K, welcome in. I'm gonna grab my drink really quick, guys. What was it? Wait, what time was the bridge guy video taken? Oh, that's a good question. I feel like we actually know that. Hold on, let me see. I know that the video they have is 43 seconds in length, and we've only got like the two second audio, but I don't know if we know what time it was taken. So Selena, they're a group of people that actually, let me look it up for you, but it's like in a better term, like a better definition, if it'll let me. Nope, it's not. So it's basically a group of people. They have their own religion. They from what we're learning, they don't like interracial type of things. One of those type of, groups. So welcome, PJ. Welcome. Thank you for joining the membership. I appreciate that. I'm like ahead on my iPad. And I didn't know that they would sacrifice like people like that. I don't know. This is very weird. But on our first live, we did go over a lot of what it meant. And I just, for some reason, my brain's just not computing things right now. It decided to, let me see. I'm going to find something for you. Give me just 1 minute. After I read this, I'll find it for you. Still, to be fair to Liggett's publicly proclaimed, public proclamation under oath, let's test Liggett's claim that one man, Richard Allen, acted alone by reviewing all the tasks that this 5'4" man would have had to accomplish in order to pull off the abduction, realistic murder, and then stage the crime scene as it was found on February 14th, 2017. So let's see. This one man would have had to been solely responsible for marching Abby and Libby down a steep hill. I'm going to play devil's. I'm going to say something. If they had a weapon, they could have done that. This one man would have, number two, this one man would have had to march both girls through the woods for some distance. At some point in time, this single solitary man would have had to cross a cold river whose depth was nearly 3.5 feet. At this depth, if the water were only 2 feet higher, Richard's whole body would have been completely immersed from head to toe. I'm wondering if, I thought that there was pictures like aerial of the crime scene. Now I feel like I'm gonna have to like go out there searching. This is the first time I've ever heard of any like kind of like cult, personally with me with a true crime case. This is my first kind of like cultish type thing. I guess if not, well, Ruby Frank, I guess we could put her maybe in that class too. And if I'm forgetting anyone, let me know. So number 3, at some point in the time, this single solitary man would have had to cross. I already read that. Sorry. Number 4, with the cold river water rising well above his waist, this man acting alone has to worry himself crossing the rushing river while also trying to coral 2 girls, keeping them from running or screaming, knowing that houses were not far away. This man on his own would have had to then march the girls up the site of the murders while all 3, because of the depth of the water, were wearing undergarments, pants, shirts, jackets, socks, and shoes that were drenched with water from the river crossing. Number 6. Once he and the girls arrived at the scene, the single solitary person then somehow would have had to subdue either Abby or Libby in rope or some other restraining device in order to have the ability to unalive the unsubdued child without fear that the other child would run away or scream. These all make sense. Yeah, Allison, this height is not a handicap. I know, right? I mean, well, look at Danella, the dude that escaped. He was 5 foot. And look, he scaled that wall like it was nothing. Nothing. So don't tell me that your height has anything to do with that, because we all saw him do that. And so number 7, because of the lack of blood on the girls' clothing, each child would have had to have been completely disrobed before the single solitary man, his first victim's neck. So the man acting alone either asked his child to disrobe or he assisted in the disrobing. Number 8, Trooper Jerry Holman of the Unified Command has confirmed that both girls were naked at one point in time, as Liberty was found at the crime scene completely naked, while evidence showed that Abby at one point in time had her clothes off. Once the girls were disrobed and naked in the middle of the forest in the middle of the day in February, and once he subdued one of the girls to prevent her from running away, the man acting alone could finally unalive the girls. Number 10, this man acting alone would have to pull the ceremonial knife or whatever sharp instrument was used to inflict fatal injuries to the neck of the first child. It is unknown which child perished first, while the second child watched, hopefully without screaming or becoming so hysterical that said child was uncontrollable. Number 11, the man acting alone would then walk over to the second child, who was somehow subdued, and inflict the same fatal injuries to her neck. Number 12, the autopsy notes taken by Liggett reveal that the pathologist stated that because of the particular vein that was severed, Abby suffered a slow death. That's so sad. To give Liggett as much, number 13, to give Liggett as much additional time needed to sell this preposterous story that one man committed all of these tasks in a short period of time, we will presume that this one man acting alone took Abby's life first and Libby's second, so that he, the lone killer, could efficiently handle all of the other tasks necessary while Abby suffered her slow unaliving. Number 14, additionally, even after Abby finally would have died, the man acting alone would have had to then wait enough time so that the blood escaping from Abby's neck would stop flowing, as there was little to no be found on any of the clothing Abby was wearing other than around the neck area, both undergarments and outer garments, meaning that the single solitary man likely clothed Abby dead body after the flow of blood ceased. 15, once this man acting alone inflicted the injuries to Abby's neck and she was dying he would have left Abby on the ground somewhere away from where she was ultimately laid to rest, as there was little blood at the scene where she was laid to rest and posed, and where the man acting alone placed sticks on her body. Number 16, while waiting for Abby to die, the man acting alone would have then used his ceremonial knife or whatever sharp object he used to inflict Libby's fatal injuries at the base of the F tree, where Libby's blood was found. Number 17, while waiting for Abby to pass. And then 2, while waiting for the blood to stop escaping from Abby's fatal injuries, the man acting alone would then grab Libby's body from the F tree, where she was probably unalived, dragging her to her final resting place at the base of the tree where she was found. This is a lot. Number 18, while waiting for 1, Abby to die, and 2, then waiting for the, man, this is so hard to read, like the words, but B, to stop draining from Abby's neck. This man acting alone then would have had to pose and position Libby's deceased body in the manner in which her deceased body was found at the scene. Number 19, while waiting for Abby, 1, for waiting on Abby to pass away, and then waiting for the blood to stop draining from Abby, the man acting alone would then select a variety of tree branches and sticks with the ultimate purpose of placing them on Libby's body. Number 20, after selecting the branches and sticks, the man acting alone would then gather those sticks and branches. 21, after gathering the selected branches and sticks, the man acting alone would have to carefully arrange the sticks in the pattern found at the crime scene. This is going to be section A of 21. This man acting alone would have to take the largest and longest of the branches and use his dexterity to lift that large branch over Libby's left shoulder next to her head. Next, the man acting alone would have to have taken a smaller stick to place it under Libby's neck on a straight line from Libby's right shoulder to her left shoulder, but over the previously laid out large branch that the man acting alone had placed over Libby's left shoulder described in 14A. I'm going to put that picture back up while I read through these because I think that it helps, like, so you guys can see the picture. Does that make sense? And thanks, everybody. Hey, Maribeth. And hey, Frankie. Hey, Deb. I didn't say hi to Deb, but I was talking to you earlier. Welcome in, everybody. It's hard to see the chat whenever I'm reading, so that's the only downside of reading. So I'm going to leave that picture up while I read this part. That way it's a little bit easier for you guys to visually see if that's easier for you guys. So B, next, the man acting alone would have had to take in a smaller stick and place it under Libby's neck on a straight line from Libby's right shoulder to her left shoulder, but over the previously laid out large branch that the man acting alone had placed over Libby's left shoulder described in 14A. C, next, the man would have to grab one of the longer sticks and place it on Libby's right thigh near her privates. This stick would then be placed alongside the right side of Libby towards her head, but over the shoulder stick discussed in 14C above. This stick starting near Libby's privates would form the right half of the V along with the stick discussed in 14D. So D, next, in order to form what can be described as a V, the man acting alone would take another stick, place it on Libby's left thigh near her privates, and connect it with the sticks described in 14C to form the base of the V. Then this man would run that stick essentially along the left side of Libby's body over the large tree branch that is mentioned in 14A. This stick placed on Libby's left thigh would also connect with, and in fact may even be attached to, as the photo makes it hard to tell, the stick described in 14B. So they don't know if it's, I guess, broke like I was describing. 22, at some point in time, once the blood draining from Abby's neck had stopped, this man acting alone would then have to gather the discarded clothing from both girls. Number 23, this man would then have to redress Abby's body, starting with the undergarments Abby was wearing without leaving any blood, his, Abby, or Libby's, on the undergarments except around the neck area where Abby had been mortally wounded. Number 24, this man acting alone would have to use his dexterity to lift Abby's dead body in order to maneuver the first bra onto Abby's dead body. 25. This man acting alone would have to use his dexterity to lift Abby's body in order to maneuver the first bra under her back. Number 26. This man acting alone then would have to use his dexterity to secure the black bra onto Abby. I think I'm saying that wrong, but
dexterity.
Yeah. This man acting alone would then have to locate the second bra that Abby was wearing. So I'm assuming, okay, because so Libby was naked. Abby was wearing double bra. Wonder if it was like a bra, like a regular, like, like a regular bra, like a padded bra or push-up bra or something of that sort. And then wonder if like one of them was like a sports bra and the person like got confused and put them both on the one girl. Just wondering why they would put two on there. This man acting alone would then again have to use his dexterity to lift Abby's dead body in order to maneuver the second bra onto Abby's body. This man acting alone would then have to use his body to secure a woman's bra onto Abby, the second bra. Once both bras were secured onto Abby's body, this man acting alone would have to locate the pink shirt that Abby was wearing underneath the sweatshirt. And she was in a pink shirt that day, right? Yeah. Once the pink shirt was located, the man acting alone would likely have positioned Abby's arms above her head to make it easier to place the pink shirt onto Abby's body. Let me see really quick. Yeah, so right here. Here, I can get this up here for you. So maybe this pink shirt. Yeah, dressed after deceased. That means you have got to be pretty strong. And to me, I mean, Richard Allen don't be looking that strong. I don't know. This is worrying me. Really, it is. Oh my God, I'd be smoking my vape tonight on the live. Because we're talking about kids. And these girls, this case in particular just is devastating. And we haven't had any information in this case. It's been so tight-lipped and sealed that to get a 136-page document and then to have it have this much detail and names and places and things, and it's just a lot to go through. So it says, once the pink shirt was located, the man acting alone would likely have positioned Abby's arms above her head to make it easier to place the pink shirt onto Abby's body. Once Abby's arms were positioned above her head, then the man acting alone would have to place the opening at the bottom of the pink shirt just above Abby's outstretched arms. Number 33, once the bottom opening of the pink shirt was positioned just above Abby's outstretched arms, the man acting alone would have to use his body by lifting Abby's left arm and placing it onto the pink shirt. 34, once the man acting alone maneuvered Abby's left hand and left arm through the bottom of the pink shirt, he would have had to use his, I'm going to look this up. Dexterity. I knew I was saying it wrong. To move Abby's left hand and left arm towards the left armhole of the pink shirt. Once the man acting alone had to use his dexterity to maneuver Abby's left hand and left arm towards the left armhole in the pink shirt, he would have to use his dexterity to move the left arm through the left armhole in the pink shirt. Man, they're really letting us know. Number 36, once the left arm was successfully pulled through the left armhole of the pink shirt, the man acting alone would have to use his dexterity by picking up Abby's right arm and placing it in the bottom entry hole of the pink shirt. He would then have to maneuver Abby's right hand and right arm towards the right armhole in the pink shirt. He would have to use his dexterity to pull the right arm through the right armhole of the pink shirt. Let me see something. Why? Okay. It says skill in performing tasks, especially with the hands. Like, are they going to say that he has something's wrong with his hands? Because this dexterity or dexterity or whatever, I'm saying it wrong, but this word, like, they're using it a lot, and I'm just wondering if they're going to be like, at a later date say there's something wrong with his hands, like he has carpal tunnel or something, or dexterity. We're learning something new today. Once the man acting alone had successfully maneuvered Abby's right and left arms through the armholes, then he would have to use his dexterity to use one hand to lift the upper portion of Abby's body while using the other hand to pull the pink shirt toward Abby's midsection until the shirt was properly dressed on Abby. Additionally, the man acting alone while using his one hand to pull the pink shirt towards Abby's midsection would have to lift Abby's body high enough off the ground to avoid getting any dirt on the pink shirt, as the photographs show that the pink shirt was clean. It is likely that once the murderer redressed Abby in her pink shirt, that the pink shirt never touched the damp, dirty ground, as there was no dirt on that shirt whatsoever, unlike the wet dirt found on Libby's backside and the wet dirt also found on the sweatshirt Abby was ultimately dressed in. This would mean that once the man redressed Abby in the pink shirt, that he would have likely held up the upper portion of Abby's body with one hand while grabbing the sweatshirt with the other before placing the sweatshirt on Abby. Hold on. That almost sounds like he's putting her back in her zip-up sweatshirt, though. Are we sure that it was Libby's? Because where's her zip-up jacket? We just saw her. She had on a pink shirt with a zip-up. In order to put the sweatshirt on Abby, once he was able to locate Libby's sweatshirt, then this man acting alone likely positioned at least one of Abby's arms above her head as to make it easier for this man to put Libby's sweatshirt onto Abby's body. Once he positioned Abby's arms above her head, this man acting alone then would have to take the opening of the sweatshirt near the outstretched arms or arms of Abby. Once he positioned Libby's sweatshirt near Abby's arms, this man acting alone would have had to maneuver the left hand and arm in order to move it into the bottom opening of the sweatshirt. Once he stuffed the left hand and arm into the sweatshirt, this man acting alone would have to position the right arm into the bottom opening of the sweatshirt. Once both arms have been placed into the entrance of the opening of Libby's sweatshirt, this man acting alone would have to use his dexterity to pull the sweatshirt down towards Abby's head, likely using one of his hands as the other was being used to prop up Abby's body so that it wasn't touching the ground. Again, as the pink shirt shows no dirt. Couldn't he, I don't want to, this is bad to say, but couldn't he have propped her up against something and done that? And redressed her? Yeah, they're saying that Libby's shirt was found on Abby, but Abby did have one of her pink undershirt, I believe, that she was wearing that day, because they're describing a pink shirt and she was wearing Libby's sweatshirt. So I think the pink shirt that they're describing that's underneath of the sweatshirt is the same one that I just showed you that of Abby wearing that same day. That's what I'm thinking. That's where we're at. Once this man acting alone had secured the first bra and the second bra and the pink shirt and then sweatshirt onto Abby's dead body, then he would have to locate Abby or Libby's jeans, which were found on Abby. Okay, so where are Abby's jeans? Where's Abby's zip up? Once this man acting alone had located Libby's jeans, this man acting alone would then have to place the opening of Libby's jeans at Abby's feet. Once he placed the opening of Libby's jeans at Abby's feet, this man acting alone would then have to use his dexterity to lift Abby's feet from her dead body enough off the ground in order to start the process of maneuvering Libby's jeans onto Abby's body. This is so sad. First, this man acting alone would have lifted either the right or left leg and foot onto the opening of the jeans. Next, the man acting alone would have lifted the remaining leg and foot onto the opening of the jeans. Once he was able to position Abby's feet into the opening of Libby's jeans, then this man acting alone would have had to use his dexterity to lift Abby's hips and legs in order to maneuver the jeans of Abby's body. Once the man acting alone was able to maneuver the jeans several inches towards Abby's midsection, he would have to continue to readjust by lifting the body with one hand while grabbing the jeans and pulling them towards Abby's midsection with the other hand. This man acting alone would continue to this adjustment and readjustment using both of his hands until the jeans were ultimately completely on Abby's body. Now that I don't believe, I think it would take just like one pull up because Abby and Libby were completely different sizes. And that's just my opinion. I don't think it would be like shimming up like pants like that. Once this man acting alone had successfully completed the task of dressing Abby in the first bra and second bra, the pink shirt, Libby's sweatshirt and jeans, he would then have to locate Abby's Converse tennis shoes. Wow. Yep, she has them on that day. Once the man acting alone had located Abby's black Converse tennis shoes with white laces, he would have used his dexterity to lift Abby's left leg with one hand while using the other hand to place Abby's tennis shoe on her left foot. Once the man acting alone had completed the task of placing Abby's left Converse tennis shoe with the white laces back onto Abby's left foot, he would have to grab Abby's other tennis shoe, the right tennis shoe. Number 61. Once the man acting alone had grabbed Abby's right tennis shoe, he would have to use his dexterity to lift Abby's right leg with one hand while using the other hand to place Abby's right Converse tennis shoe onto Abby's right foot. Were these? Nope, they were low tops, weren't they? Okay, they are low tops. Okay, just making sure because high tops are hard to get on. Okay, so that was the right foot, left foot. Okay. Once the man acting alone had placed both shoes on Abby's feet, he would have had to locate the right twig / sticks that he could fashion into antlers / horns. Number 63, once those sticks / twigs are found, then the man acting alone would have to lay the twigs / sticks over Abby's hair so that they would cross and crudely resemble antlers. Since there appeared to be no blood on Abby's tennis shoes and other clothing other than around the neck area, this man acting alone must have been extremely careful to avoid any of the blood that came out of Abby's neck as well as Libby's. That's really sad. Because the river is very close to the murder scene, the man acting alone could have also walked to the river following the cutting of the girls in order to wash and clean stuff from his hands before touching Abby's body and before placing the clothing back on Abby's body. Another possible explanation as to how Abby had no visible blood on her body or clothes other than near the site of the wound is that the man acting alone had hanged oh my God. No. Oh my Lord. I didn't read this part. Okay. This is a big trigger warning. Okay. Oh my God. Okay, this is so bad. Is that he had hung Abby on a tree. There's no way to really put this into like where you can't say it. Up by her feet. This method consists with pagan sacrificial rituals found on Brad Holder's Facebook page, which we talked about him last night, would allow the blood to drip out of Abby's neck more quickly and would also prevent, the blood from getting on her body. Once this man acting alone had successfully completed the task of locating and putting on Abby's tennis shoes, then he would have to identify certain sticks that he would use to place on Abby's body. This is so horrendous. Ida, it really is. Oh, Lordy. Man. And I'm going there tomorrow. It's just like, it's so sad for these girls and their families. So, let me read this one. Okay. So once the man acting alone had successfully completed the task of locating and putting on Abby's tennis shoes, the man would have to identify certain sticks that he would use to place on her, body. Now, because at least one of the branches appeared to have a clean cut end, this man acting alone either A, brought out his saw, a saw that he either stashed at the scene ahead of time or had carried on his person as he walked on the bridge, and then use that saw to cleanly cut the end of at least one of the branches, or B, located the branch with the clean cut end that the man acting alone had either 1, stashed ahead of time at the murder site, or 2, that he had carried with him on his person while walking the high bridge before abducting the girls, or 3, the man acting alone just so happened to have found a branch with a clean cut end on the ground in the woods. I remember him, Harley Ryder. I know, be happy. This is really this is very detailed. Oh my Lord of mercy. And I thought I heard it all. Don't ever say that. Before placing the 3 hand-selected sticks on Abby's body, the man acting alone would have had positioned Abby the way that she had been found. First, the man acting alone would have grabbed Abby's right hand and bent it at the elbow towards Abby's face so that the arm was resting on Abby's chest, with Abby's right hand near the right side of her face. Let me put these things up so that it's a little bit more of a visual for you guys. So these are the sticks that were fashioned on her, they're saying. Next, the man acting alone would have grabbed Abby's left hand and bent it at the elbow towards the left side of Abby's face, with the arm and hand resting on Abby's chest, with her left hand near the bottom of the left side of her face. Once the man acting alone positioned Abby's, let me put the picture up actually for you guys. This might be better. Once the man acting alone positioned Abby's right and left arm the specific way that he wanted, he then would have taken Abby's right leg and bent it at the knee. Once the man acting alone had bent Abby's right leg at the knee, he would have then taken the bent portion of Abby's right leg below the knee and placed it under Abby's left leg, which was positioned in a straight line. Once the man acting alone had positioned Abby's body in a way that he desired, then he could have commenced placing the sticks on Abby's body. First, the man acting alone would have grabbed the largest and longest of the branches and placed it diagonally from the bottom of Abby's body, beginning below the right leg, over Abby's midsection, then over Abby's left shoulder. This branch was so long that it covered a few feet below Abby's right leg and a foot or so to the right of Abby's head. Once the man acting alone, that's supposed to say alone, but this is alone placed the first larger branch across Abby's body. Then he would have taken the second shorter stick and placed it on a line, for the most part, between Abby's right and left shoulders and over her neck. Once the man acting alone was through placing the stick described in paragraph 75, he would finally have laid the last stick on a line along the left side of Abby's body towards the middle of her head, with all 3 sticks intersecting at the same exact location on the left side of Abby's body. Once the man acting alone had finished placing the sticks and branches on Abby's body in a specific way that he desired, he would then have to place the ruin on the tree where Abby had been likely slain. The man acting alone would have had to have taken some of the spilled blood from Libby and, oh my God, put his fingers or other type of object onto, Libby's B, LOOD. Once the man acting alone would have did that, or some other object, he would then walked away from the bodies and towards the tree where Libby had been slain. Once at the tree where Libby had been slain, the man acting alone would have then taken his finger, dripping with, or the tool dripping with it, would have been painted a line, maybe a foot long, straight down the tree trunk, about 4 feet above the ground. So maybe a foot long. Okay. Once the straight line would have been painted using, what they used, the man acting alone would have walked back to Libby's body to dip back into the womb. Man, that's so disgusting. In order to have enough to finish the ruin that he was painting on the tree. I'm trying to skip around. I'm skipping words even, and this is how bad it is, guys. This is so terrible. For the past 5 years, almost going on 6 almost now at this point. I thought I wanted to know the answers. You know what I mean? Like, I thought I wanted to know the answers, but if these are the answers, I don't want to know. It's like almost I don't even want to know. And we thought Idaho was crazy. You know, like really, this is taking the cake for any case I've done. I mean, this is crazy. So basically what they're saying is, without me having to say it, he would have had to have gone back and forth a couple different times, putting his fingers in the wounds to make the F formation that was found on the tree. So that's what they're saying through there. Once the painting of the ruin on the tree was completed, the man acting alone now would locate certain clothing items that he did not place on Abby, but were still on the ground, including Abby's jeans. Oh, here we go. Now I'm going to figure out. Sorry, my nail just broke. Once he located those certain clothing items, he would gather them. Once the man acting alone gathered the remaining clothing items, he would leave the immediate area around the crime scene and walk to the river. Once the man acting alone reached the river, he would toss these clothing items into the river. Once the man acting alone had thrown the clothing items into the river, he would have to walk back up to the crime scene and canvass it to make sure he left nothing behind. But he did. See, and that's what I don't get. How would you leave a shoe and a cell phone under one of the victims? You know? Yeah, they did. They resealed it, but I said it's out. So we reading it. We're bad. We're so bad. At least this part isn't saying a bunch of names. That's kind of good. I mean, it is the same one person though. Where were we at? Okay. So once the man acting alone reached the river, he would toss the clothing items into the river. Once the man acting alone had thrown the clothing items into the river, he would have to walk back up to the crime scene and canvass it to make sure he left nothing behind. Once the man acting alone made sure nothing was left behind, including his DNA, hair, fingerprints, and shoe prints, the man would be able to leave. Once the man acting alone was able to leave after exerting all the energy needed to complete all those tasks, he would have to walk up a steep hill for several hundred yards through some thickets and brush until he was able to get to road 300 north. So able to get to road 300 north. Although this man acting alone was somehow smart enough to keep his DNA, fingerprints, footprints, hair, and other evidence out of the crime scene, this man acting alone was apparently dumb enough to decide to walk down 300 north in the middle of the day, headed west, easily visible to the public and easily visible to anyone driving a vehicle on 300 north like Sarah Carball. Once the man acting alone was able to make his way onto 300 north to walk down the road in broad daylight open to the public rather than in the woods undercover, this man then walked some distance westbound on 300 north before allegedly being spotted by Sarah Carball at 3:57 p.m. One man, 5 foot 4 inches in stature, handled all these tasks, ? From the abduction at the high bridge to the crossing over the cold flowing river to the subduing of one girl while the other is killed to the unaliving of the second girl while waiting Abby's to die a slow, then clothing Abby with very little to any blood transfer on said clothing to the arrangement of the sticks into ruins to the paintings of the F ruin on the tree to the throwing of the clothing items into the river to the departure from the crime scene, then finally to traveling hundreds of yards through the forest and then up a steep hill and then another 100 or more yards until finally reaching 300 north. All the while being so careful as to not leave any DNA or other forensic evidence behind. Were all these acts committed by one man acting alone? All these things occurred between 17 minutes and 1 hour and 17 minutes after the girls heard the phrase down the hill at approximately, here it is, 2:13 p.m. Again, not plausible. At his August 8th, 2023 depositions, Sheriff Liggett was adamant that one person and one person alone, Richard Allen, was involved in the murder of Abby and Libby. However, off record, Liggett doesn't believe that one man was capable of pulling off all of these tasks, especially in such a short period of time, leaving behind a crime scene with no forensic evidence. As referred to earlier, Liggett said one thing publicly under oath, but a different thing off record to his buddies. One of those buddies is former sheriff and now chief deputy sheriff Toby Lizenby. And I think that I can actually show you a picture of him too. Let me go back. Yep, I can. That's him. So that's Lizenby. And then if you want to see, oops, if you want to see sheriff again, we'll go here. This is the sheriff. No, Liggett, when we're saying his name. So give you guys little pictures again. So when Toby Lizenby was asked at his deposition how many people he believed were involved in the murder of Abby and Libby, Lizenby provided a different answer than Liggett. He indicated that at least 2 people were involved. The reasons Lizenby gave as to his belief that at least 2 people were involved in the unalivings was Lizenby's belief that it would be difficult for one individual to accomplish what occurred. When asked if any other law enforcement officers shared this perspective, Lizenby provided a surprising answer based upon what Liggett had testified to under oath the day before. Yes, at least one other law enforcement officer believed multiple people were involved in the murder of Abby and Libby. Tony Liggett. According to Lizenby's sworn statement, it was common for Lizenby, and Tony Liggett to have one-on-one conversations, and that Tony Liggett definitely believed that more than one person was involved. So, Tony Liggett, who just the day before under oath claimed that only one person, Richard Allen, was involved in the murders, privately behind the scenes was saying something altogether different in a one-on-one conversations with his law enforcement friends. Now, if he has a cop come out and I'll be falling out of my chair. If a cult consisting of more than one person in a coordinated fashion lured the girls to the bridge, abducted the girls, and then collectively were able to perform all the tasks mentioned in the previous paragraphs, that perspective would cut against Liggett's sworn claim that the murder acted alone. Conversely, even more problematic for Liggett is that stating under oath that Liggett actually believes, i.e., that more than one person was involved in the unalivings of Abby and Libby, would then lend credence to the fact that the accumulation of evidence gathered by Murphy, Fersinci, and Click strongly supports that on February 13th, 2017, several men from a pagan religious cult were involved. For some reason, Liggett is obviously not interested in wanting any more, including Judge Denier, to know what the evidence strongly supports an organized pagan cult as being the unalivers. Therefore, sadly, it is not surprising that Liggett lied under oath when he claimed in his deposition that only one man acting alone murdered those girls. If Liggett had told Judge Denier that Liggett believed that multiple people were involved in the crime, and if Liggett also provided Judge Denier with the massive amount of missing details of the Odinite involvement in the murders, including evidence of Odinite's intimate knowledge of the crime scene, then there is no way Denier would have or should have signed the search warrant. This court will be considering whether Liggett intentionally or recklessly concealed information and intentionally fabricated facts in his affidavit for search warrant. Liggett's duplicacy under oath about the number of people he felt were involved in the murders is just one of the many reasons to support the belief that Liggett intentionally concealed evidence and fabricated other evidence in his sworn affidavit. I believe that's all. Yep. So that's all of part 1. We got through it. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and I wanted to play this Courrtv episode for you guys because there's a lot to go over with this. So what I'm going to do is they're going to recap it, and then I'm just going to pause it here and there and kind of talk through it with you guys. The way that they're positioned, the way that there are tree branches, there are clean cut, at least one or multiple. Even let's not even put that. I mean, that's kind of weird though. The tree branches, the positioning, the clothing, the non-clothing on one victim, the clothing, too much clothing, it seems like almost on another. Like she's overdressed. So that's a lot to process, guys. It's a lot. Wow. This is a lot. This is, whoa. Oops. So I'm going to go ahead and chat with you guys in the chat for a minute while we're watching this. And I may pause it here and there. That way, we can do commentary. We can talk about it and all that. But if not, we'll talk about it at the end. And this is going to recap everything that I just pretty much just said. So that will help us all out. And thank you guys again for being here. I do appreciate you guys so much. If you guys don't mind just taking a second to hit the like button, it really does help the channel. And if you would like to become a member of the channel, I'll drop the link in our chat for you guys. We would love to have you.
It was an unseasonably warm February day in 2017 in the small rural town of Delphi, Indiana. A place where everyone knows each other and they look out for each other. It's not a place where you worry when your teenagers decide to go on an adventure. So when Abby Williams and her best friend Libby German decided to go on a hike near the Monon High Bridge in the middle of the day, no one thought it was dangerous. But when Libby and Abby did not show up when they were supposed to get picked up, their families began to worry and they began to search. Then the next day, the worst news possible. The bodies of these two girls were found, both victims of murder. After 5 frustrating years, this man, Richard Allen, was arrested for killing both girls. Allen admitted being in the area that day, and prosecutors say a bullet found at the scene was forensically connected to his gun. One problem: Abby and Libby were not shot. And now we're learning a lot more about the murders through documents filed in court by Allen's attorneys. Information that the defense suggests shows ritualistic killings connected to Odinism, an ancient Nordic religion allegedly followed by some local white nationalists. They also say there is no way one man could have pulled off this double murder. Tonight, we examine the scene of the murders, the clues left behind, and the evidence connected to the victims as we continue to investigate the Delphi murders. I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Another big hour here as we take a closer look at the Delphi murders. So much more information now coming to light through these papers that were filed by the defense. But let's remind you, this crime scene, absolutely brutal. Brutal. If you're a family member, one of the parents, grandparents,
look how little they look.
These two girls, you have to be absolutely horrified about what has now become publicly revealed and is part of this case. But the defense is saying everything that is being revealed helps them, proves that someone else is responsible for this, not Richard Allen, the man who's been accused. So the question really is for everyone involved, and ultimately for those 12 jurors who will make the decision here and tell us what happened, what does the evidence say? What does this evidence mean? Evidence speaks, not literally, but it tells a story. And when this becomes a murder trial, which it's on its way to being a trial, that evidence has to tell the story. And will this story be that Richard Allen is the one responsible, or is the story, wait a minute, this doesn't look like Richard Allen did it. This looks like something completely different. And tonight we're going to look at this evidence and try to figure out what it's telling us now, what we are learning and what has been revealed. One of the questions that the defense is throwing out there is was this a one-man job? And they're saying no, that everything suggests that it could not have been Richard Allen alone committing this crime. Now, they're not conceding that he's there and he got a helper. No, they're saying completely different people, a different group is responsible.
But you have to look at all the facts at the scene and the circumstances surrounding what happened to Abby and Libby that day. And could one man by himself pull this off? We're going to address that question tonight on this program. Also, and this is looming large, and we'll be continuing to talk about this every time we talk about the cases, was this a ritualistic killing? Was this some sort of bizarre ritual that took place that day? And is it connected to Odinism, a word that was 1,000% foreign to me till about, just over 24 hours ago? Now we know it's this ancient Nordic religion that, according to the defense, has been hijacked by white nationalists, a group, and specifically some that are in Indiana, that this is somehow a racial, some sort of racist killing of these two girls? How do those pieces fit together? Does it fit together? And there's always two ways to look at this, and I want you to remember this always when the defense is putting out an alternative theory. Look at their theory and then just flip it on its head and imagine if what the defense is saying is the prosecution's case. And if what the prosecution is saying is the defense case, right? Because that's what would happen. If you turned around and as prosecutors, you went after the people that the defense says are responsible, is there more evidence against them? Or if that was the case, would you be looking at Richard Allen and saying, well, wait a minute, what about this guy, Richard Allen? That's the way I always analyze this. And I do that because I'm concerned about the truth. A defense attorney, that's not their job. Their job is to put the prosecution to the test to make sure they prove their case beyond any reasonable doubt. But in terms of proving things and raising, they just raise doubts. That's part of their job, is to say there's reasonable alternative explanations. But are they better explanations than for what the prosecution is alleging? And how reasonable are they when you really look at them? And that's part of the analysis. Now, I don't know what the truth is here because we haven't seen all the evidence, but we now, tonight, as we sit here, have been privy to a lot more than we were before the defense filed these papers and it was released. So I want to start here because this is extremely significant to me, which is what the victims looked like at the scene and what was with them. Because a lot of this, the defense says, and this is their theory again, that it's ritualistic, that it shows that something was done here purposely and there's some message that is left behind at the scene. So let's take a look, based upon what the defense has filed here, what they are saying Abby and Libby appeared to look like. Now they have Libby lying flat on her back, left arm stretched above her head, touching the base of the large tree. Now, what you're looking at, this depiction, is what we put together based upon this memorandum. This actual image that you're looking at right now is not something that is part of any filing by anyone. We here at Closing Arguments, based upon this description, have put this together. Libby's right arm was placed along the side of her body. A large branch was placed on her left shoulder. The branch extended above Libby's head and below her legs. Two smaller branches formed a V where her legs joined. Both sides of the V extended upwards towards Libby's head.
Do you guys think it would be hard to get those sticks to balance on somebody like that? Like if you're on Abby? Like looking at that, it looks like that would be kind of difficult to do. Let me know what you guys think. It looks like they would just fall. I don't know, like they would fall off.
The branch extended across Libby's body on a line from her right shoulder to her left shoulder. Now, Abby. Just feet away from Abby, at an angle, Abby's legs are feet away from Libby's legs, their heads just a few feet apart. Abby was on her back, elbows were bent with her arms placed on her chest. Abby's left hand and arm near the left side of her face, right hand and arm near the right side of her face. Okay, there, a little bit of interpretation, however you interpret that. That's how we are, but it could be different, but it's something like that, I would think. Abby's left leg was straight while her right leg was bent at the knee. Her bent right leg was under her left leg. 3 tree branches were placed on top of Abby in the shape of an asterisk. Above Abby's head, smaller sticks placed over her hair, crudely mimicking horns or antlers. So again, looking at this, we put that together based upon the description I read to you. Now, what I read to you is directly from the papers filed by the defense. So this is what they are alleging the evidence says, based upon information they've gotten from investigators and the prosecution. So let's talk some more about this. Joining us right now in studio, co-host and producer of Down the Hill, the Delphi Murders podcast, and Courrtv senior writer, Barbara McDonald, is with us. Barbara, let's start here, okay? You've seen different depictions of those stick formations that everyone's talking about now, these stick formations on the 2 girls. What have you seen? And let's begin with Abby.
All right, so I've been hearing about these stick formations and this image on the tree for a very long time, and very different characterizations than what's in this memorandum. Sources close to the investigation have provided me with drawings of what they say those images look like, the arrangement of those sticks. So let's start with the one of Abby, and it shows 3 sticks. Now, we have not placed her body here because this is how it was provided to me. We don't know exactly what the positioning on top of her was like, but this is supposed to be a representation of what the image looked like, the way the sticks were formed. Now let's put up the image from Libby. And there's 5 sticks involved here by my count. And you can look at these and decide if they look like something to you or look like they're randomly placed. I have spoken to many investigators who were on the scene at the time who say the assumption was they were randomly placed. They did not see a pattern. They didn't see intentionality there. The other interesting thing about these sticks, they did not collect them when they collected evidence from the crime scene.
Whoa, slow down. Sticks are placed on the bodies of the 2 victims here, and they're not collected as evidence?
They were not collected as evidence until several weeks later, conceivably when this Odinism stuff started to arise within the investigation, and they went back to try to collect those sticks. Now, the other thing we have an image of is what was depicted on the tree. And it's described in this memorandum as being the letter F, a rune painted in blood.
Blood, right?
That was tested according to the memo. It's Libby's blood, according to the memo.
That's what the defense is saying.
Yes. I have not heard that part of it from my sources, but I was given a rendering of what the blood on the tree or whatever the substance on the tree appeared to be. And
that's what we're looking at right now.
This is more accurate. Several of the investigators told me they thought that it was a perhaps partial handprint of the person who committed the crime, leaned up against the tree, and that's how it was placed there.
All right, let's put it back up. Let's put that back up. This is significant. This is important. Now, the defense is saying this is the letter F.
Yes. Now, we also have a second image where we have placed that rune, the F image, over this. And you can decide for yourself if it looks like the exact same image or not. Again, many investigators thought that it was a handprint or something that was just done during the commission of the crime and not intentionally placed there. But just like the sticks, Vinny, This was not taken as evidence. The tree was not cut.
Now that I keep looking at this, I don't know. I don't know about the F. The sticks are weird. The F looks like cast off almost to me. I'm not really seeing the F too much.
Down, the bark was not removed. It was left at the scene, photographed, swabbed.
Everything was photographed, though, right? The scene
Photographed.
had to be photographed at a minimum. At a minimum.
Photographed. But you would think,
Yeah.
at least the bark, from what I've heard, at least the bark should have been taken, if not that chunk of the tree.
Well, if they're saying it's Libby's blood, then someone would have to taken a sample of the blood, right?
Yes.
You would think? Okay.
According to the memo, they say the DNA testing shows that it is her blood.
This is, what to make of this, right? It seems like there's more to it. There's a reason you're putting the sticks there. They're put there purposely, whether they mean something, whether they are these secret codes, some Odinistic type of meaning is really the question, right?
It was characterized to me as being perhaps an abandoned effort to cover the bodies.
Okay, I get that. All right, stay where you are. Joining us now in Delphi, Indiana, podcaster Gray Hughes from Gray Hughes Investigates. Gray, great to see you tonight. First of all, this is like huge information that's being released, right? This, for me, came out of left field, the fact that all this information is released. What's your headline, Gray? What's the first thing that struck you in this after covering this for so long?
Well, I, like Barbara, also have heard most of these rumors the whole time with the letter F and the sticks. And I actually, the letter F on a tree is the thing that stuck out to me. Like, whoa, I heard about the letter F, but I didn't know that it was in blood on a tree. But now when you look at it, that with the information that Barbara just showed us, the image there, I mean, who knows how that got there? It could be even, not to sound gross, but like arterial blood spatter that went up onto the tree right there, the way that looks in the picture there. So now that sort of debunks my, like, whoa, there was a letter F on the tree, if that's really what it looks like Barbara showed there.
How about the sticks? And this whole notion of Odinism. Let me ask you, first of all, did you ever hear that term Odinism before the release of all this?
Believe it or not, I have. I had this friend that took a picture at that early on, because he just travels around the country, and he sent it in. These people went, "Oh, look at that!" They made it seem like they were like part of something just because he took a picture. But I think it's the most. I got to just be honest, like the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard. I feel like when I read through this document, it was the most sarcastic, sort of almost childishly written document. I mean, I've never seen something that's supposed to be professional that sounded the way it did. What did you guys think?
Well, I'm looking at it, and I always look at things in terms of how does it play in front of a jury, what can be done in front of a jury, and to me, what they have done at this point is make people think, well, what exactly was going on at the scene, and were there investigators? And to me, this is the part that stuck out to me, is they're alleging that there's a group of 3 investigators that were following this theory and believe there is something to it. You're out there in Delphi right now. Any sort of buzz on the ground out there with the release of all this, Gray?
Yeah, I mean, I've actually talked to family members and the ex-prosecutor from a long time ago. He doesn't really keep up on it as well, but I mean, let's just look forward to perhaps a rebuttal from Liggett. I think that's kind of the buzz. I mean, when I went through the document, I don't know if you're interested in this portion, but there was a glaring omission of the 3 girls that Richard Allen passed. So remember when Richard Allen says he got there, he passed 3 girls on his way to the bridge. Those 3 girls were leaving the area. They passed the bench right there near the, heading towards the Freedom Bridge at probably, I think it was 126. Richard Allen's driving by up above on the street. He parks his car at 1:30, he said, and then he walks onto the trail, and those three girls walk right by him, and then he admits that he walked by those same three girls. So that places him heading to the bridge at 1:30, but in the document, it says 12 to 1:30 is when he left, but he wasn't leaving at 1:30. He was going towards the Monenheim Bridge. So why did they leave that out of the document?
Well, it doesn't help you. That's why you leave it out. So, but fascinating. So give me your bottom line now, Greg, from having gone through this, covered this for so many years. Had you, before this time, ever thought that this could have been a ritualistic killing and that you were looking for some group, some sect out there in Indiana?
I've never believed that that's what it was. I mean, I originally thought it was a lone wolf killer that showed up to the bridge that day hunting somebody. Then they came with the social media angle with Keegan Klein and the Anthony Shots profile. And now it seems like it went back to the individual person, being Richard Allen, except, I mean, don't you guys feel like it's a little strange that the only reason that, that the Anthony Shots profile that didn't get to meet Libby that day was because some other random killer killed the girl?
Yeah,
I mean,
I've been saying this as well. You know, what are the odds? Like, what are the odds that you are interacting with someone who's an alleged, or not an alleged, now he's a convicted child pornographer who put up this site, and then someone else intervenes? There's got to be some more of a connection. I want to put up on the screen, this is some more evidence from the scene. Libby's shoe and cell phone containing the bridge guy video were found under Abby's lower back. A single bullet found buried under leaves and dirt between the two girls. Barbara McDonald, let me ask you about this. This is crucial evidence for prosecutors, right? This video. I don't think the bridge guy, the killer, knew that they were videotaped that day.
No, I agree.
There's no way.
I agree.
Otherwise, the phone would never be there.
Right.
And what about the bullet, though? There's a problem with the bullet, I think, for prosecutors here.
I've heard about the bullet for many years, and I have never heard a definitive theory from my sources that it does come from the suspect. One speculation was that maybe it comes from law enforcement. It was the same caliber as they use. And as you know, ejection mark testing is not as reliable as a bullet that's been fired.
It's not DNA.
Right.
It's definitely not DNA.
Which is what we need in this case, and apparently don't have.
And don't have the DNA. Gray, what are your thoughts about that? The fact that the bullet is found there. I mean, is the defense going to try? The defense may try to say that Richard Allen's being framed, or it's just a coincidence that it's there, or it's not his bullet.
Well, after I talked to the family members about what was on the video itself, and early on, like in the first, 6 months of the case, I was told that there was a click sound, that they think that was the gun chambering a bullet, and then that was used to control the girls. And obviously they weren't killed with a bullet, but maybe at some point he ejected that bullet at the crime scene. That's all I can come up with.
And then leaves it there. Doesn't do anything.
Well, leaves the phone.
And leaves the phone and is busy putting sticks on top of the victims. That's what they're going to have to argue. Okay. We've got a lot to get to. Gray Hughes investigates. You need to check it out. Thanks so much, Gray. Great to see you. Barbara McDonald doing great work as always. I see you all the time because you work here, which is awesome. Okay, so coming up, we're going to again go to that crime scene. We're going to talk about ritualistic killings. We're going to bring in experts to talk about that. Plus, coming up next hour.
Mornings.
Guys. Downhill. Guys. Downhill. Guys. Downhill.
For years, that was the biggest piece of evidence that we knew about in the Delphi murder case, the video and then the audio of the alleged killer. Well, now, after the defense has filed these papers, they've described the murder scene, and we have put together this graphic representation of what is described by the defense and what they filed with the court. Abby and Libby next to one another near this tree with these sticks. Are they in some form of a message that is being sent? Is this ritualistic? Some other facts here. Libby was found nude. Blood spots and blood drippings were seen all over Libby's body. No blood sprayed or dripped onto the leaves or the tree near Libby's head and sliced neck. Abby was found fully clothed, but dressed in Libby's sweatshirt and jeans. Abby was found wearing 2 bras. There was no blood on Abby's clothes. Very little blood on Abby's body apart from the fatal wound on her neck. Libby's phone and shoe were found under Abby's lower back. So, is this a...
I know that the wounds on Libby are a lot worse, and she was found like nude and those type of things. But the way that they are like overdressing Abby and kind of like almost taking care of her in a way, like where she's like cleaned off, you know, and all of that, like that, I don't know, that I'm questioning things. Like maybe she could have been like the target, you know, like, because sometimes they'll do that after like somebody unalives somebody, they will feel bad. They'll, you know, and they cover the body or they redress it or they try to fix things or clean it up. I don't know.
Ritualistic killing, is it consistent with that? Joining us from Philadelphia, ritual murder expert and author of Investigating Religious Terrorism and Ritualistic Crimes, Dawn Perlmutter is with us. In Jacksonville, Alabama, forensic death investigator, professor of forensics at Jacksonville State University, and host of the incredibly popular Body Bags podcast, Joseph Scott Morgan. And in Pensacola, Florida, private investigator Lauren Vellucci is with us. Great to see everyone tonight. Thank you for being here. Dawn, I'll begin with you. Based upon what we are learning from the defense here, does this strike you as a ritualistic murder scene?
Well, I just have to emphasize that I did not observe any of the photos. I only have the information that I read in the descriptions. But I can tell you from what I've read, this is a classic ritual murder. I've worked on dozens of these types of homicide cases. Ritual homicide involves acts that go beyond the actions necessary to conduct the crime or elude the police. This is not a counter forensic measure. You don't do all of that just to hide the body. It has all of the elements. It has symbols at the scene. What you're not taking into account when they're looking at the shapes of these branches. And by the way, ritualistic crimes are typically outdoor crime scenes because they're nature-based ideologies. But when you're looking at the symbols, you need to account for the shape of the body underneath it when you're interpreting it. You're not just looking at the sticks. It can be the entire thing, and it has meaning to whoever did it. I really do not think it's random. The other thing is obviously the cause of death is significant. In ritualistic crimes, you do not get gunshots. They're always typically knife wounds, and there's always things that are done with the blood. And in this case, obviously a secondary scene, but blood, whether it's blood spatter or what was on the tree, it seems that this was not random at all. Body positioning is very significant. And as I said, it will have some meaning to the person who did it. In terms of Odinism, which I'm very familiar with, It would be consistent with racist Odinism, which is very popular, has been popular among neo-Nazi skinheads and prison gangs since the late 90s. In fact, there's many groups right now that are taking it to the next level. We have a blood tribe leader who has runes tattooed on his face that translate to son of Wotan, which is one of the also known as Odinism. So to me,
So based
it's
upon
a
what the defense
classic
is saying here, you think there's something to it. And again, you prefaced it all by saying you haven't seen the actual photos. None of us have. Joseph Scott Morgan, let's start first with the bodies. Does that appear posed the way it's described? Does it appear that someone could be murdered or dragged and naturally end up that way? And what are your thoughts about the blood and lack of blood in parts of this scene?
Again, without having access to the imagery, it's very difficult for me to opine about this. You know, positionality is everything, whether it's some kind of ritualistic event, and even when, you know, when we work cases involving serialized perpetrators, they have a ritual in and of themselves. So you know, they have a rich fantasy life as well. If they're acting out, they can pose bodies. I worked a series of homicides where bodies were posed in kind of Leonardo da Vinci's classic anatomical man position. And you also have this issue that's really significant to me, that is undressing and redressing, which is something that's quite striking to me that came out. But yeah, that's the scene as far as I can understand it at this point. I don't know that this is necessarily randomized, but if this is the coverage that is on top of these bodies, it would seem to me that it was a very poor effort to obscure the bodies, because that's the goal with covering bodies, right? You want them out of sight. We don't know how robust any of the vegetation was. We don't know how fresh the vegetation was. And it's very troubling to me, Vin, that these items were not collected, specifically as it applies to tool marks. They were not collected in the beginning, because we're talking about saw marks, bolt cutters, perhaps. I don't know, you know, how were these limbs, if they are in fact limbs, how were they trimmed away? Because that's a big telltale there. You're leaving money on the ground there from an evidentiary standpoint. Why would you not collect it at that point in time? I don't understand that.
Lauren Vellucci, what questions do you have based upon what the defense has now filed in court? What questions does that raise for you as an investigator?
I agree with JSM. I mean, I think it's appalling that they didn't take the sticks as evidence. Judging from the height of the girls, these sticks had to be decent size. So were they skinny little sticks that they could have easily broken? It seems more logical that they were long, the size of them, because some of them were the length of the bodies of the girls. So therefore, again, how would they have caught them? It's very troubling. That that piece of information that you guys just brought out blows my mind. And from an investigation standpoint, it's appalling.
So, Dawn, as we try to get to the truth of what happened here, people involved in a ritualistic killing, would it just be a one-off? Like, let's say there's a group of Odinists who are practicing and doing sacrifices or rituals like this. Would there be more bodies? Because this goes back all the way to 2017, and we have heard nothing about other victims in this area.
Well, you'd have to know what type of, and if it's not somebody connected to one of these organized ideologies, it could be something they're just inventing in their mind. But it could also be, you don't know if it's an initiation, if it's sacrificial. There's a lot of different types of rituals that are done.
Well, let me lay this out. Let me lay this out, though, Dawn, because here's what the defense is saying. The defense is saying one of these girls has a mom who would date interracially. So that was the motivation behind all of this. This is part of their theory. and it's this group that is, practicing Odinism, and this is why they attacked these particular girls. I mean, that's part of what they're laying out there as potentially what happened here. Does it make it less plausible that there haven't been other attacks in the area? Like a group, would they just kind of go after one particular victim and one off, and that's it? We don't see bodies all over the place?
No, that it's quite possible and plausible. I mean, there are groups like this that not only ritually murder, they ritually rape women. They're active. They could be doing it in other places. I guess what I'm trying to say is this does happen, as bizarre as it sounds. There are ritual murders, and a lot of these racist Odinists are growing. They are recruiting, and they're part of this like warrior tribal. They identify with that ideology. So it's very plausible. And I think, again, this is without seeing any of the evidence, not seeing other evidence. It is plausible to me. That
Okay, fair enough. Our guests are great. They're staying with us. When we come back, we're going to ask this question. Was this a one-man job? Could one person have done all of this to these two young girls?
You, Richard! You're going.
I forgot to tell you guys, this is the only part that is funny about this whole thing. I'm going to rewind this. Listen to the guy in the background. I don't know if you guys remember this when he went to court, but we streamed it or played it right after. I don't know if we could stream it, but we played it right after if we couldn't stream it. I can't remember for sure. But JLR is there, the YouTube creator, and that's him hollering in the background. And that's my dog coming to hang out with us. I opened the door, so sorry about the pause there for a minute. It didn't register with me for a second. She just wanted to come and hang. So yeah, so this is the one part of the live where we can actually kind of giggle for a minute, because this is pretty funny stuff when JLR shows up and, is yelling at Richard Allen. So
Down, you child.
let me go back a little bit more, because he's loud with it.
When we come back, we're going to ask this question. Was this a one-man job? Could one person have done all of this to these two young girls?
Richard Allen, you child murderer! Why did you do it? Shame on you! Shame on you, Richard! You're going to prison for the rest of your life! Shame on you, Richard Allen!
There's Richard Allen. The question is, did he do it by himself? Could one person have done this? The defense says no way. Take a look on the screen, folks. They say one man, 5'4" in stature, handled all these tasks, from the abduction at the High Bridge to the crossing over the cold flowing river, to the subduing of one girl while the other is killed, to the killing of the second girl, waiting while Abby died a slow death. Then clothing Abby with very little to any blood transfer on said clothing, to the arrangement of the sticks into runes, to the painting of the F rune on the tree, to the throwing of the clothing items into the river, to the departure from the crime scene, and finally to traversing hundreds of yards through the forest and then up a steep hill and then another 100 or more yards until finally reaching 300 North, all the while being so careful as to not leave any DNA or other forensic evidence behind. Well, If two people did it, they didn't leave DNA behind either. So I'm not buying anything on that. But let's bring back in our guests, Dawn Perlmutter, ritual murder expert, Joseph Scott Morgan, forensic death investigator, and private investigator Lauren Vellucci. Joseph Scott Morgan, your thoughts, could one person have done all that the defense is saying was done here?
Well, I didn't know that height was a qualifier for that. They're really going out in the weeds on that.
Well, one reason they said that is they said the water could be 3.5 feet deep in the river, and he's only 5'4". I think that's one of the reasons.
There are other places the river could be forded. And so to me, the big thing here, though, is control. And how do you control someone, particularly two young girls like this? My thought is with a weapon. And, you know, we heard about the clicking of the weapon being actuated and that sort of thing. And one key here, Vin, is that they found a round, an unspent round, at the scene, which is a .40 caliber, actually, just like the one I'm holding. This is unspent, just like the one they found, but they're saying that there are striations on it. You know, there are a couple of laws on the books that I know as, you know, former prosecutor, you're very well aware of across the country. It's a term called menacing. And how do you menace someone? Well, if you've got young women, young girls like this, they're not expecting to be, encounter some monster out in the woods. Well, one of the ways you menace an individual to get them to comply is that if you're carrying a firearm, this is a dummy firearm that we use at JSU for training, but if it's a semi-automatic weapon, you charge the weapon like this, and it's a very intimidating sound, particularly to these young girls. Well, it's intimidating to me. And you present this weapon, and they're already in a lost, cold place. Remember, down the hill, and he's directing them down there. If he's planned this thing out already, if he's got a location that he's going to, we know that they've recovered knives, these sorts of things. Maybe those limbs were trimmed. I have no idea, but he's perhaps nested in that area, just waiting for this opportunity. Yeah, this could be a one-man show. You're not talking, he's not dragging, an NFL lineman down there. All right, you're talking about two young girls that he's doing this to. Allegedly.
Lauren Vellucci, your thoughts. Could one person have done this?
I agree 100%. Absolutely. Per the defense's statement that he would have had an hour and 17 minutes, plenty of time. Brian Kohberger, for instance, far less time. And we know that he allegedly slaughtered 4 people. So it is something that one person could have done. I think that the point that they may have.
Can someone tell me where they're getting the hour and 17 minutes from? Because is that like what they have to work with, like based on Richard Allen's timeline? Because they were gone for 22 hours before they were found. So they would have had that much time with the girls, I would think. Let me know in the chat if you guys know that answer.
Some good information and some good reasonable doubt is the dressing of Abby and not getting blood. However, the river was right there. So did they wash off? I don't know. But to me, it makes a lot of sense that it was more than one person. And I think that is a real possibility. I think that there's a lot of truth in this new information more than falsehood. And it would explain the differences in sketches and how they looked so different as if there was multiple people that were seen.
Dawn Perlmutter, we have about less than a minute here. Your thoughts, one versus more than one person?
I think it could be either way. I think it could have been one person that they could intimidate the girls, and especially if they had planned it ahead of time, if they, whether they stumbled upon them or, were just had this in mind, fantasized about it for a long time, that it could be one person or it could be more than one. I think it's also interesting that it's near the river. That happens to be another significant thing that occurs with ritual murders. They tend to occur near bodies of water also.
Dawn Perlmutter, great to have you on tonight. Joseph Scott Morgan, appreciate your insight and your time. Lauren Vellucci, great to see you as well. We're just getting started with all of this. I mean, so much information today, but thank you for your help tonight.
Okay, so that's all. We took in a lot today. That was a lot of information. Now, tomorrow I will be in Delphi. So we'll probably be doing some lives and things of that nature. And then my place is getting renovated. So I won't be able to be back to my place until like later that evening. We should still be able to do the 8:15 live per usual. But it will be, hopefully we can get through all of section 2, part 2 of the reading, but we might have to break that into 2 lives because it's like 50 pages. And we're reading right now like 25 pages a night, and it's taking me like an hour and a half, hour and 20. So I don't want to read it too fast and not give these girls, if this is what happened with them, you know, and even though this is the defense saying this, if this is what happened to Abby and Libby, I want to make sure that we get it out there the right way if we're going to be reading it and having to read the gross details, because that's what it is. It's bad. They're bad. So I'm pretty sure I have the PCA still printed out. I used to print out the internet. That's what I used to print everything. Until I got my like 2nd, 3rd, 4th screen. I got 4 now. So I don't need to do that anymore. But I think that I did. I did print that out. So and if I didn't, I'm going to reprint it, or I'm going to print it out so I can take it with me. And then while I'm there, I can read it and go along the trail just in case the internet isn't good out there. That way, if it doesn't work well, I can at least be taking video out there. So, but I'm pretty sure that we'll be fine with streaming and stuff as well, because I have a pretty decent phone, and hopefully, I mean, Verizon sucks. So I'm not going to lie, that phone service sucks. But yeah, so the bridge has been redone. Thank you, Lord Jesus. Thank you, Abby and Libby. I'm going to thank them. They probably had a hand in getting someone to do that finally, because I was going to cross that scary, scary bridge. Scary bridge. But yeah, Jan sent me a picture a long time ago of the bridge. I'll show you before and after. Because the before, I was like, oh my lordy. I thought I would be able to do it, but since we went to the observatory the other day when we were in California, I can't walk in a straight line, y'all. I would fall off this. Like 1000%, your girl would be on the ground. Oops, that's too big. Too big. But I would be like on the ground down there. It would be bad. But they redid the bridge, and now it looks so pretty. Has railings. I'm like, oh, I can go on there. This is the new bridge. So old. Now we got new. And then I'll show you like an aerial view. Look at this thing. This thing is not on. Woo, look at that. They were so brave. Every time I look at these, I'm like, oh my gosh, those girls were so brave. I wouldn't. I probably would have been crawling over it. It's long. It's very long. Part of the ride, really, you know, so you know a lot about it. Do you know anything about the Odinists? We're learning over here. I don't know anything about it. But I am going to go camping tomorrow. We're gonna see. We're gonna see if we actually stay the whole time. I'm gonna say that we last until like, I'll probably be back here reading to you guys before 7 o'clock. So if I do camp, I may not do the live tomorrow night. It might be the night after, but I'm trying to get us caught up until like before Saturday, because some new documents come out in like Idaho, and I completely forgot about Kohlberger. Kind of, you know. The last few days have been, actually, it's been, let me see. Let me tell you guys actually how long it's been since we've done an Idaho live. because I did those pre-recordeds for you guys for my trip, but I did those like a week or something before the trip. So we haven't talked about Brian Koberger on this channel since the 9th of September, and it is going to be the 21st tomorrow. Wow. Yeah, it's been a little while. It's been a little while. So we'll go back to that. Don't you worry, because, you know, I didn't forget about him that much. But it was kind of nice to, you know, just not be like, you know, what's going on with him? What's going on with him? What's going on with him? Oh, Jan, is it Friday? Okay. I was thinking it was today. So good. It is the 22nd. I was thinking that in my head. Cool. Thank you, Jan. You're the one that told me about the documents today. I didn't even know. I didn't even check today or yesterday or the day before or the day before that. I haven't checked since the last time there was a document drop. We probably have a lot to read through. I have a lot of reading to do. So there, like, I think the hearing is for a motion to dismiss. I think the morning hearing is going to be cut off. Like, no cameras are allowed to be in that hearing because there's just going to be some sensitive stuff, I think, being talked about. And then the afternoon hearing, I forget what that one's for. I'll have to do a quick video and get us all caught up before Friday and get all the documents caught up. So there should be someone that's filming like the afternoon, but not the morning. Yeah, motion to dismiss the grand jury. Is that the only motion it is? Is that the only one that's on there? I thought there might have been two, but I can't remember the other one. I can't remember the other one for some reason. Yeah, so I know that like the motion to dismiss the grand jury, that's the one that's not going to be recorded because, you know, they're talking about the grand jury and all that. So, oh, you can see Mia's new bow. If you could see it on her back of her collar. Are you happy to be home, Mia? She's ignoring me. Hey, Mia. Hey, Mia. There she is. Oh, she's the cutest dog, isn't she? You'll see her tomorrow. You'll see her in action. She's cool like this when we're on the live and she's inside, but wait till you see her out in the public amongst people. She barks at everything, everybody. Oh my Lord, she just barks. You are the one with the forest, Aries. Oh, so it is author of a state's grounds to not dismiss. Okay, thank you. I was like, I never laughed, Aries said. Kaylee said, hi, Mia. Look, oh, she has both. I thought both of her ears were back, just two. Or just one. It's her bow. Her sister has the same collar. They look so cute. Thank you, Aries. She's a Weimaraner. She's oh, there she comes. Oh, nope. She's getting comfortable. She's my baby. We got her from the Amish. They breed dogs, and I don't know why. Oh, I do. I had a Weimaraner pit mix, so I really wanted that mixture back. So I got a Weimaraner, and then I got a pit boxer mix now. So I got the best of both. She's full of energy. She doesn't leave your side. She would be great for an older person. Somebody that wasn't brittle though, because she trips you and she jumps all over you. But if you were like strong and you weren't brittle, she always wants to be like taken care of and just wants to be loved and just wants to be by somebody. She would be the best like dog for someone that's like, you know, retired or me. She's, you know, or me, because, you know, I'm here with her. But it was funny because when we went to pick her up, she flew out of that gate. The woman like that watches her, she opened the gate and Mia was just like out. She was gone. So it was funny. Okay, Jan, thank you. I'll check it after I got the live. You don't do bridges? No, I normally don't either. I don't even like going over a bridge in a car. But I don't know. I just decided that I'm going to do it. So, okay, so I'm going to jump off of here. Thank you guys all for being here tonight. I appreciate you so much. So like I said, tomorrow I'll be in Delphi, Indiana, covering, this case. We're going to do some videos, some lives, and all of that stuff. Maybe we'll get Vincent on live. But I will see you guys all tomorrow. Have a great evening, and I will see you guys all soon. Make sure you have your notifications set to onto all, so that way you'll get notified of the lives tomorrow. So bye, guys.